Chapter 6. The Necklace.
Good morning, Amanda Silver.
Connie enthusiastically greeted her as she poked her head in the doorway. Connie was always cheery in the mornings. You could always count on Connie to lift your spirits or give an encouraging word. She had especially been comforting to Amanda since her separation.
Good morning, Connie.
Amanda replied, not quite as enthusiastically. She came on in and sat down in front of Amanda's desk. Her smiling countenance changed to one of concern when she saw Amanda's face.
Are you all right, dear?
She always called her dear when she was concerned or when she was about to give some of her motherly advice. Amanda looked at her strangely, hesitating.
What? I mean, yes. Why do you ask?
Your face looks pale this morning, and you're trembling. You think maybe you're coming down with something?
Amanda looked down at her hands. She noticed she was indeed shaking a little. Perhaps she was coming down with something, but she really didn't think so. Her recent experience must have shaken her up more than she realized.
No, I don't feel sick, but I do feel a little lightheaded. I left the house this morning without any breakfast. I think maybe I just need a little something on my stomach.
Well, you're in luck this morning. I brought in some home-baked cinnamon buns. They're in the break room. You sit tight, and I'll bring you one and refill your coffee.
Leave it to Connie to make sure the branch didn't go hungry. She was always bringing in homemade stuff. Although her specialty was cookies, everything she baked was just as delicious. She headed for the break room just as Ralph was coming from the break room. He was carrying 2 cinnamon buns in one hand and a cup of coffee in the other. He had already helped himself to Connie's handiwork. He walked toward Amanda's office, grinning like a Cheshire cat.
Hey, Amanda. Connie brought in some freshly baked cinnamon buns this morning, and boy, are they delicious. Make sure you get yourself a couple.
She couldn't help but smile at Ralph as he stood in her doorway like a little boy with crumbs sticking to the sides of his mouth. Ralph couldn't resist sweets.
Hey, Ralph. I see you're enjoying them. Connie already told me. She went to get one for me. As always, she comes through on the days when I leave the house without any breakfast.
She sensed the color must have returned to her face because Ralph didn't say anything about the way she looked, or else he was enjoying his cinnamon buns too much to notice. While they began to talk about their agendas for the day, Connie returned with a cinnamon bun and a hot cup of coffee.
Here you are, dear. This will make you feel better.
Ralph raised his eyebrows.
Oh, are you not feeling well, Amanda?
I'm okay. I just got a little lightheaded a few moments ago, probably from not eating anything this morning. Really, I'm already beginning to feel better.
She thanked Connie for her thoughtfulness, and the 3 of them finished discussing new promotions, appointments, and other such banking business. One by one, the tellers arrived. After a brief huddle with them, Connie and Ralph went to their respective offices to prepare for the opening of the branch. When Amanda got up to unlock the doors, she noticed a big black crow sitting just outside her windowsill in the same place where she had seen the little white bird. She wasn't particularly fond of crows and wondered why the creature had landed there. It made her feel so uncomfortable that she decided to close the blinds. She sat back down at her desk to work, but instead of delving into the pile of papers beside her computer that was needing her attention, she began to think about the events of this morning. With the remainder of the day ahead, she wondered how it would progress. A quiet, uneventful day might have been too much to hope for. While she pondered the possibilities, a well-dressed gentleman entered the lobby carrying a briefcase. He sat down in one of the vacant chairs, which was her cue to get up and offer her assistance. As she approached him, forcing her best customer service smile, she said,
Hello, may I help you?
Yes,
the man replied solemnly.
I need to open a safety deposit box.
All right. If you don't mind waiting just a moment, our new accounts representative can help you with that. I'll let her know you're waiting.
After a moment, she returned to the man with Connie, who reached out her hand to greet him.
Hello, my name is Connie Smith. I understand you need to open a safe deposit box. I'll be glad to help you with that. Please come into my office and have a seat.
When Amanda returned to her office, she noticed the message light was flashing on her telephone, which told her she had just missed a call from someone. She played the message and discovered it wasn't from a customer as she presumed. The familiar voice sent her heart racing.
Amanda, it's Andrew. Please call me at home. We have to talk.
She could only wonder why Andrew had called. She hadn't spoken with or seen him for over a month, and she wasn't inclined to speak with him now. The last time they spoke, the conversation ended in an argument. She was tired of arguing with him, and she was especially tired of competing for his love. She never dreamed their relationship would have ever gotten to this point. She regretted the hurtful things she had said to him. She wondered if he had been as lonely as she had. In truth, she would have done anything to get him back. She wished things had never changed between them. He was a part of her that she couldn't do without. He was a part of her that her dreams were all about. She was hoping the reason for his call was that he felt the same. She had been waiting for the wind to bring him back again or take him away. She had to find out which way the wind was blowing. Hesitantly, she decided to call him. As she dialed the number, her heart began to pound with anticipation. On the third ring, she heard someone pick up. A familiar voice said, "Hello?" Amanda froze. The voice she heard, although familiar, was not the one she was expecting. Surprise turned to anger, and she immediately hung up. Then the tears began to fall. The voice she heard belonged to Kelly Collins, and Amanda was now sure which way the wind was blowing. Wasn't it enough that she had been whoring around with her husband? Was she now serving as his answering service, too? She tried to dismiss these thoughts when Ralph unexpectedly walked into her office to go over some papers. He caught her wiping the tears from her eyes. Sympathetically, he asked,
Amanda, what's wrong?
Sniffing the tears away, she proceeded to explain.
Andrew, he called.
Her voice quivered.
He left me a message to call him while I was helping a customer. His voice sounded so sincere. So I decided to call him back, hoping we could talk. But when I called him at home, Kelly Collins picked up. You can imagine how surprised I was. I didn't know what to say, so I hung up on her. My hopes are shattered, Ralph.
She sniffed.
It looks like it's really over between us.
As Ralph sat listening, Amanda's phone rang. She wasn't quite composed enough to answer it, so Ralph answered it for her. It was Andrew. He discovered through call return that Amanda had just tried to call him. He had been outside loading his suitcases into his car when she returned his call. Thus, the reason why Kelly had answered the phone.
May I speak to Amanda, please?
Just a moment, please. Let me see if she's available.
Ralph put his hand over the receiver to muffle the sound and whispered,
It's Andrew. What do you want me to say to him?
Feeling the pain of betrayal all over again, she angrily replied,
Tell him he and his trollop can take a 20-mile walk off a 20-foot pier.
Ralph didn't really want to get into the middle of their marital affairs, so he said,
She's not available to come to the phone right now. May I take a message?
He heard Andrew let out a frustrating sigh.
Let her know I've been trying to reach her all morning. I left a message on her answering machine at home. I really need to talk to her, but I'm getting ready to catch a flight out of town. Just let her know I'll get in touch with her in a few days.
When Ralph hung up the phone, he told her what Andrew had said. After a few minutes, she regained her self-control and apologized for her outburst. She wasn't 100% sure why Andrew had wanted to speak with her this morning, but she speculated it had something to do with Kelly. She didn't even want to think about it. Nevertheless, she decided from this day forward that she was going to be strong, in control of her destiny, and a lady with a plan. She couldn't allow her heart to suffer any more pain. When Ralph left her office, she looked out into the lobby and saw Connie and the gentleman she was helping go into the vault where the safe deposit boxes were housed. A minute later, Connie came out and walked straight to her office.
Amanda, have you got a minute? I need to speak with you.
Sure, come on in.
As Connie sat down opposite Amanda's desk, they saw the gentleman come out of the vault and leave the bank. He seemed to be in a hurry. After he left, Connie proceeded to talk about him.
Amanda, I've got to share this with you. The man I just finished with? Well, while I was opening his safe deposit box account, I felt very uncomfortable. As I was checking his identification, which was a Canadian passport, he began asking all sorts of questions. You know, the ones most customers have that can be answered by reading the account disclosures. I gave him a copy of the deposit agreement, but he didn't seem interested in it. He left it on my desk. He seemed more interested in you. He wanted to know your name, whether or not you were married, if you had any kids, how long you had worked for the bank, and so forth. When he proceeded to ask more personal questions like these, I got suspicious. So I told him I wasn't at liberty to give out personal information about you. He immediately apologized and said he didn't mean to pry. He said he only thought he would like to get to know you better. He also said he thought you were a very attractive lady. Honestly, Amanda, he's definitely not your type. And did you get a load of that horrible scar on the side of his face? Bless his heart. I wonder how he got that. It looked like somebody slashed him with a knife. So how do you feel about Asian men with scars on their faces?
Amanda grinned and let out a big sigh.
Right now, I hold very few men in high esteem, particularly one whom I'm still in love with. God only knows how badly I've been hurt. I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. So, what's this guy's name?
His passport said Chen Li.
Connie then remembered the piece of jewelry in her pocket.
And oh, by the way, this strange guy wanted me to give you this as a token of, let me see, how did he put it? Oh yeah, I remember. As a token of allowing him to fulfill his destiny. What the dickens he meant by that, I don't know, but he insisted you take it. He also said you should take it into the vault after he left and wave it in front of his safe deposit box 3 times for good luck. He explained this would ensure his financial prosperity and the prosperity of the one who waved it. That it was an ancient custom passed down from many generations whenever a financial agreement was made with someone. It sounds like a lot of Eastern superstitious hogwash, if you ask me.
She handed Amanda a dullish green stone on a silver necklace. As she examined it, she noticed the stone was about the size and shape of a quarter, flat on each side, and anything but extraordinary. There was, however, something strange engraved on the underside, which she couldn't read. As they were discussing this, Ralph popped back in. Connie filled him in on what had just transpired with her last customer and concluded by saying Amanda had a secret admirer. Ralph's interest was piqued when Connie told him about the waving ritual. Curiosity got the better of him. He picked up the strange-looking stone to examine it more closely, and a kiddish smile appeared on his face.
Come on, let's try it out and see what happens.
Thinking how silly it was, Amanda and Connie didn't feel quite as enthusiastic as Ralph did, but they knew if they didn't play along, he wouldn't rest until they complied. So they got up and followed him to the vault. But before they reached their destination, one of the tellers who was coming out of the vault stopped and told them one of the safe deposit boxes had been left open. Not only was the box left open, but it was hanging halfway out of its slot in open view, and there was something strange inside of it. When the 3 poked their heads into the vault, indeed, there was a box hanging open. Connie went in to take a closer look and noticed it was the box belonging to Mr. Li. Amanda immediately sensed something was not right about all of this. As she thought about it, she suddenly recalled Mr. Lee had left the bank in a big hurry. Connie turned toward Amanda and said,
I know I explained to Mr. Lee how to lock his box with both keys. Why on earth would he leave it hanging open like that? Maybe he just stepped outside to get something from his car.
There are varying degrees of suspicion and varying degrees of uncertainty, but there was no variance in the way Amanda was feeling. Her gut told her their gathering at this very moment was anything but an auspicious occasion. Without fully understanding why, an overwhelming urgency to get everyone out of the bank preempted a discussion of the situation. Without giving it a second thought, she yelled,
Get out! It's a bomb! Quickly, get out!
Chapter 7. The journey begins. When Amanda woke up, she found herself in a bed at the emergency room of the hospital. Connie was standing by her side, holding her hand. She had only been unconscious a short while, but it seemed like an eternity as she recounted the events of the morning. Just as Amanda was about to say something, Connie gasped in relief when she saw her open her eyes. A big smile appeared on Connie's face when Amanda said her name.
Connie,
she began.
What happened?
And then it all came back to her. An explosion. Sirens. Ralph.
Oh, dear Lord, Ralph. Where's Ralph? Is he okay?
She said fearfully, thinking he might be dead.
There, Amanda. It's okay, and so is Ralph,
Connie said comfortingly when she saw the horror and confusion on Amanda's face. She gently patted her hand to assuage her fears.
You're at the hospital, and you're going to be okay. You only suffered minor injuries, mainly a knock on your noggin. That hard head of yours saved you from having a concussion. I imagine, though, you may have a rather severe headache after the acetaminophen wears off, but you'll be able to go home soon. Ralph's going to be all right, too, although he suffered more injuries, primarily because he was in front of you when the bomb exploded. You know, kind of like a human shield. I was kidding him about that when I saw him a few minutes ago. He's got a broken arm and a minor concussion. The doctor said you were both lucky. His wife's with him right now.
Relief spread over Amanda's face, and the taut grip she had on Connie's hand eased after hearing this. Connie paused to let her assimilate the information before going on.
If it wasn't for your quick thinking,
Connie continued,
to get everyone out of the bank, there would have been a lot more injured people besides you and Ralph. If you hadn't pulled Ralph out of the vault when you did, he wouldn't be here to tell us about it. You saved his life, Amanda. For that matter, you saved all of our lives.
As Connie continued to elaborate on the details of the explosion, Amanda began to remember the words of Lady Snowbird. She'd said the evil one would try to stop her from accomplishing her tasks and would even try to kill her. She realized now the bomb had been meant for her. Whoever this Chen Li was, he was no doubt in service to the evil one. After the doctor finished examining her, he wrote out a prescription for diazepam, just in case, since she'd really suffered more trauma than physical injuries. Afterward, she was free to go. When she sat up, the lump on the back of her head began to throb. Connie was right. An intense headache was coming on, but fortunately, that's all it was. Nothing that another dose of drugs wouldn't numb. It was sore to the touch and about the size of a walnut, but thankfully, her hair covered the swollen spot. She looked at what she could see of the rest of her body and only saw a few minor scrapes and bruises. Thank God, she thought. No bandages. She had indeed been lucky. Connie offered to drive her back to the bank to pick up her car, but before they left, she wanted to see Ralph, so Connie took her down the hall to where he was. When she entered the room, she was relieved to see him sitting up in bed. As expected, he had a cast on his left arm and a bandage around his head. But besides that, and a few cuts and bruises, he was in one piece. She might have saved his life, but he certainly paid the price for shielding hers. She greeted his wife, Jennifer, and then leaned down to give him a hug, whispering how glad she was he was alive. She held him longer than she meant to, but he didn't seem to mind. After hearing he would also be leaving in a few hours, lessened the anxiety she was feeling. The doctor wanted to observe him for a while longer to make sure there were no complications. As they talked about Amanda's bravery and her quick thinking moments before the bomb exploded, Ralph almost cried. Amanda, however, didn't hold back when she saw the emotion in his eyes. She cried for both of them.
Amanda, I owe you my life,
he said gratefully.
I don't know what came over me in there. I heard you tell us to get out, but I couldn't move. I tried to run out of there, but my feet felt like they were cemented to the floor. If you hadn't come back and pulled me out when you did, I'd be dead now. How did you know it was a bomb?
She wiped an emotional tear from her cheek and said,
To be honest, I didn't know for sure. An overwhelming urgency came over me that told me we were in danger. That's all I know. Call it intuition, I guess.
But now that she thought about it, she knew differently. She clearly remembered seeing a brief glimpse of Lady Snowbird in the vault, saying with urgency,
Get out quickly.
Oh, by the way, the necklace your Oriental admirer gave you is in my pants pocket. You might as well keep it for a souvenir. The police found it on the floor of the bank and told me to hang on to it for you since you'd passed out after the explosion. Connie told them it was a gift from Mr. Lee, but they didn't think it was important to keep for evidence. They were more interested in the timing device he used to trigger the bomb. To think that guy made up a story like that to get you to go into the vault.
After a moment, Ralph realized what he had just implied.
Hey, you don't suppose that bomb was meant for you, do you, Amanda?
Amanda grimaced slightly, knowing the truth.
I don't know.
She answered, trying to sound skeptical.
I didn't even know the guy. Why would he want to kill me?
Yeah,
Connie answered.
why would he want to kill someone he didn't even know? Unless he had been stalking you, Amanda.
If he was stalking me, I wasn't aware of it.
Well, if you ask me,
Connie interjected.
I think he targeted Amanda because he was attracted to her in some sadistic, perverted way. After all, he had asked a lot of questions about her when he was in my office.
They continued to talk for a while until Dean Evans from the bank's corporate security and Tanya Heil from Human Resources showed up. Dean and Tanya were sent from the bank to see how they were doing and to discuss the events that led up to the horrible incident while it was still fresh in their minds. They informed them the branch would be closed for at least 2 weeks while the damage was repaired. They also told them everyone was given a paid leave of absence for the next 6 weeks, in addition to 2 weeks paid vacation to wherever they wanted to go. Since bomb assessments were a serious matter, as rare as they were, the bank wanted to do everything possible to show its support for the safety of its employees. While they continued to talk, an FBI agent by the name of David Cook entered the room and inquired if they felt well enough to answer some questions. Of course, they were more than willing to give any information they could remember about the incident. Agent Cook told them an investigation was underway by the local police in collaboration with the FBI since the incident involved an illegal alien. Although they didn't know the whereabouts of the Asian suspect, they did know through Interpol who he was. From his description, they discovered his real name was Tai Ling, and he had just recently escaped from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. The passport he used had been cleverly altered and imprinted with his photograph, no doubt one of many used to disguise his identity. He was wanted for murder, espionage, and a long list of computer crimes. To say the least, he was notoriously dangerous and clever, not your typical criminal. At this time, the FBI didn't know why he showed up in Charlotte or why he targeted this particular bank, especially since planting bombs in financial institutions hadn't been in his repertoire of crimes. When Agent Cook finished asking his questions, he gave each of them his card to call him in case they remembered anything else later. As he was about to leave, he received a call on his cell phone. Afterward, he somberly informed everyone he had just received some disturbing news.
Okay, folks, I don't mean to alarm you, but I've just been informed another bomb was found outside the bank. As with all situations of this nature, the bomb squad checks the perimeter of any site where a bomb has been detonated. One of our trained dogs found one attached to the undercarriage of one of your cars.
Amanda heard the heart-sickening words and didn't have to be told whose car it was. She knew it was hers and realized she would no longer be safe remaining in Charlotte. This guy was out to get her, one way or another. She had to get away. As if everyone in the room had read her mind, all eyes turned to stare at her. Agent Cook directed his next comment to Amanda and said,
I'm sorry to inform you, Ms. Silver, that it was your car. All the other cars checked out clean.
He hesitated a moment.
The bomb squad tried to defuse it, but they weren't successful, mainly because they were unfamiliar with the detonation device. Its construction was very high-tech. To tell you the truth, they had never seen one like it before. In order to defuse it safely, they had to send in a bomb robot to explode it. I'm very sorry about your car, but better your car than you.
Everyone in the room became so still that a pin drop could have been heard. A moment of silence ensued as they all tried to comprehend this latest development. Amanda especially was consumed in her thoughts.
What else could happen? My husband is gone, my car is gone, and my job is gone for the time being. I might as well be gone, too.
After Agent Cook let the disturbing news sink in for a few seconds, he said,
I'm afraid you're not safe, Ms. Silver. It wouldn't be wise for you to go home. I suggest you allow us to put you under protective custody until this guy is caught. It seems he's targeted you for some reason. Do you know of any reason why he would want to harm you?
As Amanda thought about how she should answer this question, she only shook her head no.
Listen,
She then said,
I appreciate your offer, but I think I'll be safe if I can just get away and go somewhere for a while. The bank's offered to give me some time off. And besides, I was already planning to go somewhere on vacation week after next. I might as well go now.
Agent Cook thought about this for a moment.
Well, I can't force you to succumb to our protection if you don't want to. But if you're going, then I think you should leave town as soon as possible. A team has already been sent over to your house to check for any other bombs. In the meantime, I'll arrange for your safe exit out of the city.
And I'll go over to your house with one of the agents and pack your suitcase.
Connie told her.
No sense in exposing yourself any further.
Amanda looked at Connie surprised and thought perhaps she was being a little too protective.
I appreciate your concern, Connie, but I'll be all right.
But Agent Cook obviously thought it was a good idea.
She's right, Ms. Silver. Let her go. The guy's still at large and may be watching your house.
Amanda thought about it for a moment and reached for Connie's hand.
You sure you don't mind going?
Not at all. Just make me a list of what you want. I'll find it.
By the way, does anyone know of your vacation plans?
Agent Cook asked.
No, I just made them this morning. If I can have access to someone's computer, I can make immediate travel arrangements in addition to the ones I made this morning. My laptop is at home.
You can use my laptop.
Connie offered.
It's in my car. I'll get yours when I bring your other stuff. You might as well take it with you.
Afterward, Amanda thanked everyone for their support, said goodbye to Ralph and Jennifer, and followed Agent Cook to a private office in the hospital where she could make out a list for Connie and complete her travel arrangements. In the meantime, Connie went to get her computer. When she returned, she told Amanda she would meet her back here as soon as it would take to pack a suitcase and drive back. After Connie left, Amanda accessed the internet. She decided to go to Niagara Falls for the next few days and then visit Toronto until it was time to go to Alberta the following week. She'd never been to Toronto, but Ralph had. After hearing him talk about it, she had always wanted to go, so now was just as good a time as any. After making her hotel and flight reservations, she leaned back in the office chair and exhaled a deep breath. Things were happening too fast. When she woke up this morning, she had no idea this day would be ending on a flight to Niagara Falls. While she sat staring at the computer screen, Lady Snowbird suddenly appeared and began speaking to her comfortingly.
Amanda, you're about to begin your journey. You must search out a man riding a horse. Then you must meet a lady who will share a song with you. The evil one stole the greenish stone that you now have in your possession. The evil one's servant meant to destroy it along with you, but your faith and trust in me have preserved both. The stone is a talisman of truth that will be used to undo the evil one. Always wear it around your neck and never take it off, no matter how strongly you are enticed to do so. It was made for you and you alone. Only you can wield its power. At the appointed time, when you see it glow a magnificent hue of emerald, then you'll be able to wield its power of discerning truth. Don't be deceived. The truth is more powerful than the evil one's lies. As long as you wear it, neither it nor you can be destroyed. But it can't be destroyed by itself either. The only way it can be destroyed is with its wielder, and only by allowing yourself to be deceived while you're holding it in your hand. If this happens, you risk both your life and the fate of the world. The evil one knows this. That's why he tried to snare you in his trap.
While Amanda listened to this incredible revelation, she remembered what had happened to Ralph in the vault.
My lady, I need to ask you one thing. What happened in the vault? Why couldn't Ralph move when I yelled at him to get out?
Because the truth stone works that way. Anyone besides you who touches the stone can't discern the truth. The indecision of not being able to discern the truth paralyzed him. That's why you must never allow another to touch it. Put it on now and don't take it off. And remember, call out my name in your darkest night. You have a friend in the light.
When Connie returned with her things, she informed Amanda her house was in one piece and that the bomb squad didn't find any signs of a bomb anywhere. Amanda was relieved to hear that. At least she would have a house to come back to. Connie also said she would see for the care of her cat while she was gone, and she reminded Amanda to be sure to email her occasionally to let her know how she was. With a promise, Amanda said she would. When Agent Cook returned, he had transportation waiting for her on the roof of the hospital. A police helicopter was ready to fly her to the airport. From there, she would be on her way to Niagara Falls. She gave Connie one last hug before saying goodbye. An hour later, Amanda had just found her seat in the first-class section of the Air Canada flight when she heard the pilot say,
"Please buckle your seatbelts. We'll be taking off momentarily."
As she sat waiting, her mind and heart raced from the stress of the day and from the anticipation of an unknown future. She laid her head back and closed her eyes. She said a silent prayer as she closed her hand around the strange stone dangling from her neck.
Oh Lord, help me to hear your voice and be guided by your truth.
She was so tired. A nap was what she needed to re-energize, not to mention a few moments of peace to sort things out, so she didn't see the last passenger who boarded the flight. He was escorted to the rear of the plane. He too was tired and asked for a pillow when he took his seat. The flight attendant gave instructions to one of her coworkers to retrieve a pillow for the man with the scar on his cheek. And then the plane took off for Canada. Chapter 8. You've Got a Friend. When Derek arrived at the hospital, he immediately inquired how badly his friend was hurt. The doctor informed him he had sustained a minor concussion, 2 broken ribs, a collapsed lung, a broken arm, and some bruises. He had already been treated and was lying in serious but stable condition in a private room. He asked if Scott's wife had been notified, and the doctor said she had. She was expected to arrive shortly as soon as she caught the next flight out. The next thing he wanted to know was if Scott was able to speak with him about the details of the accident. He was conscious, but the doctor advised to keep it brief. Scott turned his head toward the door when he heard it squeak open. Derek slowly walked into the room and saw his friend lying in bed, covered in bruises and bandages. He looked like a wounded soldier just carried off the battlefield. But at least he was awake and alert, and Derek was thankful and relieved for that. He walked over to him and softly said,
"Hi, bud. It's me."
Scott looked up at him and forced a mischievous grin. Derek then sat down on a stool next to his bed and squeezed his hand. Taking a deep breath, he said,
"In case you care to know, you scared the pants off of me. How are you feeling?"
"I hurt worse than a toothache, but I'm alive,"
he said nonchalantly. When Derek regained his composure, he jokingly said,
"So, what are you doing here lying around when you have police business to do? I thought you were supposed to be on your way to Toronto."
"Yeah, I know. But these beautiful nurses here in Ottawa needed a patient to attend to, so I volunteered. They've been really grateful to me, too, for putting them to work. As you can see, I've been keeping them busy. I can't complain too much, though. They've been taking good care of me."
"Well, don't get too friendly with them."
Derek smiled.
"Your wife will be here soon."
"Jen."
Scott said her name with emotion. His eyes moistened when he thought of her now.
"She's going to be so upset to see me like this. She's the best, you know? I don't know what I'd do without her to look after me. But she's strong. Before you know it, I'll be back to my old self in no time."
"So,"
Derek began.
"you feel like telling me what happened?"
Scott shifted in his bed to make himself more comfortable.
It was the oddest thing. I was driving down the road about an hour outside of Ottawa when a big black bird flew right into my windshield. It startled me, of course, but that's not what made me lose control of my car. The blinding sunlight reflected off of something it was carrying. When it approached, the light caught my eyes and I couldn't see a darn thing in front of me. That's when I lost control of my car and crashed into a tree. I sat dazed for a few minutes, thinking I must have hit my head on something because it ached worse than a migraine, and my left arm felt like it had been hit with a 2x4. After getting my bearings, I radioed for help. I should have stayed put, but I decided to get out of the car to assess the damage. When I looked in the back seat, the prisoner was hunched down like he was unconscious. So, without thinking, I opened the back door to check on him. That's where I made my mistake. He came at me so fast I didn't have time to react. Felt like I'd been hit by a Mack truck. Kicked me in the chest with his shackled feet. So hard, in fact, I heard my ribs crack. Knocked the wind right out of me. The next thing I knew, I was lying on the ground in intense pain, helpless to do anything. Then, I felt him take my gun and the keys from my belt. A few seconds later, I heard the gun go off. I thought he shot me, but I was in so much pain I wasn't sure. In any case, I knew I was a dead man. It wasn't until I woke up here that I realized what had happened. He must have been in too much of a hurry to escape to bother unlocking his ankle chains. He shot them apart. Luckily for me, he was in a hurry, or I probably would have taken his next shot.
The bad feeling Derek had gotten just before Scott left with Tai Ling worsened as he listened to Scott's story. Something told him the appearance of this bird had been no accident. Somehow, this incident was connected to the strange happenings he had recently experienced. He was convinced of it, but his hunch was based more on feelings than on facts at this point. He was curious to know about the shiny object the bird had carried. He asked Scott if he had seen what it was before he lost control of his car, but he didn't know. Everything had happened so fast. Jenny arrived sooner than expected. Fortunately, she didn't have to wait to board a plane to Ottawa, and the flight was only about an hour long. When the plane landed, a Mountie was waiting to drive her to the hospital. Derek greeted her affectionately in the lobby when she arrived, and the first words out of her mouth were,
"How is he?"
On their way to Scott's room, he tried to ease her anxiety with a little levity and said,
"He's a little rough around the edges, but he's going to be fine. You know Scott. He's tougher than he looks."
When she entered the room and saw him covered in bandages, she almost started to cry. She reached for his hand and gently kissed it, holding it close to her lips until she regained her composure. After hearing a brief synopsis of the accident, she said,
"I'm so relieved you're going to be all right, darling. I was so scared when I first heard the news of the accident, knowing you were with a dangerous prisoner."
She lowered her head to kiss Scott's bruised lips and then said,
"It looks like you won't be driving a car for a while."
Derek decided to leave them alone to share a private moment, but to lighten the mood before he left, he said,
Well, maybe you ought to consider getting yourself a horse and carriage to drive after you heal. At least the horse could steer for you if the sun ever got in your eyes.
You're becoming quite the comedian, aren't you, bud?
Scott laughed.
Speaking of horses, I just realized I won't be riding any horses next weekend, will I? It looks like Jenny will have to put up with me instead. Oh well, I'll just have to postpone my training.
Derek walked down the corridor toward the lobby to get a cup of coffee, thinking how thankful he was that Scott was going to be okay. On the other hand, he didn't even want to think how close Scott had come to being killed. As he sipped the coffee, he noticed some kids had turned on the television in the waiting room. The morning news show was on, and Ling's escape had already made the headlines. As he watched, he heard the anchorman talk about the fighting in Lebanon. Some senator was saying something about the bad economy, how it was going to get worse, and how we needed a change in policy. Somebody robbed a liquor store on the lower part of town and fired shots that killed an innocent bystander. Then, he heard about someone stealing a plane and somebody else taking a hostage. Some celebrity overdosed on drugs, there were riots and burning buildings in the streets of Ireland, and some third world government official was assassinated. He was beginning to wonder if the network had a monopoly on tragic events because everything he heard was bad.
Wasn't there any good news to report? Surely there was something good happening in the world worthy of the headlines. What about the county fairs or the latest recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize? For Pete's sake, why can't I ever hear about those things?
Since Jenny would now be staying with him, Derek decided to leave the hospital and return to work. When he got back, he decided it was time to see where the door in the castle led. But before he came to the website, he heard a song begin to play on the radio. Again, it was the same familiar voice singing a song about a little good news. After the song faded, he knew it wasn't a coincidence this time. For the fourth time in 2 days, he had heard 4 significant messages to him. There was a power at work that he didn't understand. He looked toward the window and knew he would see the little white bird perched upon his windowsill. And again, the lady appeared to him on his computer screen. This time, she wore an earnest look on her face, and her pleading eyes glistened with emotion. But before she spoke, Derek decided to speak first.
I need some answers. Who are you? What do the songs mean, and what do you know about the Spires Castle website?
I've been sent by the Great Light to bring mankind into the new millennium without any ill effects. The Evil One desires mankind to enter his millennial world. If he continues unchecked, every earthly soul will wake up to a chaotic millennial dawn.
Her comforting voice then softly said,
The songs were to remind you of who you are, a broken-hearted man who believes he lost his desire to love. The dream you had was to remind you of the hope of finding love again. You also needed to be reminded you are not alone. You've got a friend. I'm your friend. The present world needs a little good news, and you can give it. You're confronted daily with the evil in the world and the senseless heartache of mankind. You can make a difference in the balance between good and evil. That's why you've been chosen to champion this cause. The website is a clever tool to deceive and lead mankind away from the truth and the Great Light's love and light. A great disaster is approaching, and there's someone else who has been chosen who can help you thwart it. There's a young woman who possesses a gift that's needed to undo the deceiving power that's about to create international havoc in this computer-dependent world. You'll discover your gift too, and must be willing to offer it when it's needed. The gifts I give to accomplish this task must be wielded by the willing. The great light's love and light will shine to guide you. The lies will be turned into truth. The evil one will be undone. I'll also unleash the magic that's not been used by mankind since the Great Fall. It was taken away because of his wayward and selfish ways. But for this purpose, it'll be given and used again by you and the young woman of whom I spoke. The young woman has yet to realize the magnitude of her gift. But once she's empowered and discovers what she must do, she'll be in constant danger. Right now, the evil one is planning her demise. The evil one knows of her and has been working deception in her life. Once she discovers what she must do, the evil one will be relentless in his attempts to try to destroy her. My servants' songs will guide and comfort her in her undertakings, as they will you, and with all things working together, the balance of power will be restored. When you meet her, you'll learn what must be done. But time is quickly running out. Your tasks must be accomplished before midnight of the new millennium. Just believe in your direction, and I'll be your lifeline. And beware of the deceitfulness of the evil one. He desires your soul. But remember, he can't take it from you by force. He can only snare you if you're willing. Don't allow him to deceive you.
Chapter 9. Rockcliffe. When she arrived at her Toronto home, tired and exhausted after many hours in the recording studio, she collapsed onto her couch. It had been a long day, and she needed a quiet, relaxing moment. She kicked off her shoes, laid her head back, and closed her eyes. She had just finished recording a collection of inspirational songs, each one personally selected and having a special meaning to her. After 30 years of singing a variety of pop, country, and crooning songs, she wanted to honor God with these inspirational melodies to say thank you for blessing her life and career these many years. She breathed in deeply and exhaled the stress of the day. She then whispered a little prayer.
Oh Lord, renew my strength and guide me in the path of your love and light.
She lay there for several long minutes, absorbed in the solitude and much-needed solace. When she opened her eyes, she found herself standing in the midst of a beautiful garden. Surprised, she looked around in awe and noticed she was surrounded by a variety of the most beautiful trees and flowers she had ever seen. Never had she seen such vivid colors in nature, not even in the unspoilt regions of Canada. Her senses were overwhelmed with the fragrant smells and glorious sights of this enchanted place. Her soul felt at peace, and her spirit sensed the presence of holiness. While she wondered where she was and how she had suddenly been transported to this place, she heard a voice calling her name. When she turned around to see who was calling her, an angelic-like lady suddenly appeared before her. She was tall and slender, and an aura of light emanated from her regal form. She was donned in a long white dress trimmed in gold. The garment she wore was made of intricate patterns of lace-like filigree that looked like chiffon as it blew gently in the breeze. Upon her outstretched hand sat a little white bird. As she stood staring at this beautiful creature, the lady smiled and gently began to speak.
Welcome to the other side. Your prayer has been heard, and you've been granted your request. You've been brought here to be refreshed and to renew your spirit. Come, walk with me, and I'll show you the path that leads to love and light.
The lady took hold of her hand and led her to the edge of a gently flowing river, banked on either side by lush, green grass.
Let me tell you another reason why you've been brought here. I'm in need of your service. I'm called Lady Snowbird. The great light has sent me to bring the world safely into the new millennium. But the evil one desires to bring the world into a chaotic millennial disaster. There's a man and woman who have been chosen to help me in this task. They both will soon possess special gifts that are needed to undo the course of the evil one. If you're willing, you too can help me in this task. Are you willing?
Realizing she was in the presence of a holy being, she immediately knelt at the edge of the riverbank and bowed her head in submission. Who was she to refuse such a request? While she knelt, her heart raced with emotion, and her tear-moistened eyes temporarily blurred her vision. She tried to answer the lady, but her trembling voice prevented her from saying the words. Sensing her humble and loving spirit, the lady laid her hand upon her head and said,
Don't be afraid. You, my friend, are highly regarded by the great light.
The lady lifted her to her feet and dried her cheeks with a tress of her hair. The lady's reassuring embrace was a convincing reminder something more than just a dream or an ethereal experience was happening to her. When she regained her composure, she said,
I would be most honored to be in your service, my lady. What would you have me do?
I have need of your voice. God has given you the gift of song. It will inspire, guide, and comfort the man and woman of whom I spoke. I must unleash a magic that once belonged to mankind. Before he became wayward, it must be given to the man and woman for them to accomplish their tasks. You'll give them the magic through a magic song when you meet, and this is the melody you'll sing to them.
At that moment, the lady gently touched her mouth with her fingertips and instructed her to kiss the head of her little white bird. She immediately felt the magic engulfing her like a surging wave that suddenly crashes down and takes an unsuspecting soul to the ocean depths. She then gently kissed the soft, delicate head of the little creature and immediately received a melody within her heart. She instinctively knew the words of the song, although she had never sung it before. As she began to sing the unfamiliar melody, the words overwhelmed her with emotion. She sang about mountains that needed to be climbed, about believing in your direction, about a journey that may seem endless when you know the road is rough, and about doubt and faith, pain and strength, and fear and love. When she finished, she told the lady it was a beautiful song and that she wouldn't sing it again until she met the man and woman. While the lady walked her back to the place where they first met, she asked,
When will I meet this man and woman, and how will I know them?
Before the moon waxes full, you'll first meet the woman, and then again, just before Christmas, you'll meet them both together. You'll know them by their talismans. The woman will be wearing an emerald stone on a silver necklace, and the man will possess a sword. You'll know them by these. After you meet the woman and give her the magic, you'll spend a little time with her before sending her on her way, because she'll be in need of some comfort. When you see the woman again with the man, then you'll give the man the magic. Once the magic is given to them, they'll be empowered to wield their talismans to undo the evil one.
The lady then bade her goodbye and shut her eyes with a wave of her hand. When she opened them again, she was reclined on her couch, feeling refreshed and peaceful. She sat up and whispered,
I wonder how long I've been asleep.
She then remembered the dream she just had. The lady and the magic song suddenly came to mind, and she couldn't get the melody or the words out of her head. When she got up, she noticed something in her hand. It was a tiny white feather. At that moment, she realized she hadn't been dreaming after all. She truly had been in the garden. Feeling blessed, She walked outside and, looking up at the brilliant pink sky as the sun was setting over the horizon, she said,
Thank you, Lord.
She turned to go back inside, and the little white bird appeared to remind her he would be carrying her magic voice on the wings of the wind. While Derek sat reflecting about what Lady Snowbird had just told him, he made up his mind that perhaps it would be best not to venture into the website until he had a chance to sort everything out. A lot of strange things had happened in the last couple of days that he was still trying to understand. The mysteries connected to the website were too compelling for him to ignore, but he needed time to unravel them. What he needed right now was a change of scenery to get his mind off of the last 2 days. With his musical ride coming up this weekend in Niagara Falls, he decided to concentrate on that instead. Since he was leaving tomorrow afternoon to fly to Niagara Falls, he decided he would spend the rest of the day out at Rockcliffe, riding his horse. Riding always took his mind off things that bothered him. His grandfather used to call it equestrian therapy. He shut down his computer, turned off his radio, and told Inspector Campbell he was going out to the stables to prepare for his performance. When he arrived at the stables, he went directly to the tack room and fetched his horse's saddle, shabraque, and bridle. Upon entering the stables, he noticed the horses had already been groomed and donned with the maple leaf pattern on their rumps in preparation for tomorrow's departure.
Hey, Horseshoe.
He greeted his horse.
Don't you look good enough for a date? But I guess you'll have to settle for me instead.
Unlatching the gate, he reached up and affectionately patted his nose.
Come on, boy. You and I have some serious riding to do.
He always said that when he needed a sounding board to air his thoughts. Horseshoe was always glad to see him, and he nodded his head and stomped his foot in acknowledgement. After tightening the bridle and securing the cinch, he led him out to the training course. It always felt good to mount up. He often thought if he could find a way, he'd sleep in his saddle on days when he felt like this. Horseshoe seemed to understand everything he said, but even if he didn't, it was comforting to know he didn't mind listening. He rode him until the sun was about to set over the horizon. When Derek awoke the following morning, he didn't hear that voice singing to him on his clock radio, didn't see any strange birds sitting outside his windowsill, and didn't remember having any disturbing dreams. As a matter of fact, he slept rather soundly. He actually felt refreshed and ready for the day. But the day was just beginning, and he was expecting anything to happen, especially after the events of the past 2 days. He was determined to stay on guard and be ready to respond to whatever strange event should occur next. He had a feeling that Lady Snowbird was about to show him some new revelation very soon. When he got out of the shower, he dressed casually and finished packing the suitcase he started the night before. He then loaded it into his car and left for work, not forgetting to stop along the way to pick up breakfast for himself and the inspector. He knew the worry of having to deal with an escaped criminal was weighing heavy on the inspector's mind. Breakfast wasn't a solution to the problem, but a full stomach might help to find one. The morning air was crisp and chilly, with the approaching of storm clouds from the north. Already, the sky was beginning to become more overcast as he drove closer to the city. By the time he reached work, the sun had completely disappeared from view. They were calling for rain by this evening.
Good morning, sir.
He greeted the inspector when he walked through the door.
I brought breakfast.
He laid the bag on his desk, but the inspector didn't look up. He was mulling over something on his computer, deep in thought.
I'm ready for the ride tomorrow,
Derek then said casually.
I just hope these storm clouds clear up by then.
Inspector Campbell began to mumble something under his breath before he realized Derek was speaking to him.
Oh, good morning, Derek. Not to worry. These clouds are supposed to blow over by tomorrow morning. The forecast is predicting sunny skies, especially in Niagara. By the way, your airline tickets are on your desk. You look a lot better today than you did yesterday. Pretty rough day yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Any news on Ling's whereabouts yet?
Oh, is this for me?
The inspector said when he noticed the bag on his desk, which he promptly opened.
Thanks. News about Ling? Nope, not yet. He seemingly disappeared without a trace. But he couldn't have gone far, unless of course he had someone helping him. In any case, all the airports, train and bus stations, and border patrols have been alerted.
He's clever, but we'll catch him,
Derek said as the inspector took a bite.
Very good, croissant. Where'd you get these?
Since Derek's flight wasn't due to depart until late that afternoon, he had time to complete some reports and analyze some data. It was early afternoon when he finished, so he decided to pay Scott one last visit before leaving town. When he arrived at the hospital, Jenny greeted him as she was coming out of Scott's room.
Hello, Derek,
she warmly said as she leaned to give him a hug and a kiss on the cheek.
Scott and I were just talking about you. He was wondering if he would see you before you left for Niagara. He's doing good. The doctor said he could probably go home tomorrow as long as he took it easy. He's recuperating better than what was expected. You know, Scott, even when he's sick, he refuses to act like it. Only thing, he's been as grouchy as an old mother grizzly and just as restless, too. He can't wait to get out of that hospital bed. I was just on my way to get a cup of coffee. Would you like me to bring you one back?
Sure, why not? I've got a little time. I'm glad to hear he's been giving everyone a hard time. That tells me at least he's on the road to recovery. You can't keep a good man down. I'll go on in and see what I can do to make him behave.
When Derek entered the room, he found Scott sitting on the side of his bed with a determined look on his face. He approached him and said,
As Inspector Campbell would say, where the H-E double hockey sticks do you think you're going, bud?
When Scott looked up and saw Derek, he grinned from ear to ear.
Hey man, help me out here a little. It was nice while it lasted, but I've got to get up and move around. The doctor already said I could get up if I felt like it. Help me over to that chair.
Derek took a hold of his arm, the one that wasn't broken, and helped him over to the chair beside his bed. He sat down and moaned.
Oh yeah, that's better. I'm not doing bad for a guy who was just admitted to the hospital yesterday, am I?
Derek stared suspiciously at him and smiled.
You don't know how relieved I am to see you up and about.
Yeah, but I'm not quite ready yet to be riding a horse. You don't know how disappointed I am about having to postpone my training. I was really looking forward to beginning the equitation courses this weekend.
Don't worry, Rockcliffe will still be there after you've fully recovered. You'll probably be able to get in on the next training in 6 weeks. I was out there yesterday afternoon to spend a little time with Horseshoe. We talked a lot about you and your accident.
Yeah, well, the whole accident was so freakish. To think that a bird could cause so much trouble.
I want you to know,
Derek began hesitantly,
that I don't believe this incident was an accident. As you know, I've been investigating a case involving a strange website that's connected to all sorts of criminal activity. Somehow, someway, I believe this Tai Ling is involved. Whether it was a planned accident or not, I can't exactly say, but I'm convinced it occurred because Ling was meant to escape. But don't worry, I have a feeling we haven't seen the last of Mr. Ling. He thinks he's so clever. But I have news for him. If he ever comes across my path, he'll wish he hadn't. He'll be caught sooner or later.
When Jenny returned with their coffee, they sat and chatted for a little while. Since Scott was expected to be released tomorrow, Derek told him he would stop in and see him at home after his ride performance in Niagara. Afterward, they said goodbye, and Derek left for the airport.